Alright, so hello guys. So in today's class, or in this class, we'll be talking about while loop, right? While loop is also a type of loops that we have in programming. So like while, like this, then loop. So now, how do we use while loop exactly? So let me just jump right into an example, right? Or let me explain it first. The way we use while loop is that we set while, right? Then we set condition, right? Pass condition like this. Unlike for loop where we have to initialize condition, then we increase, right? But here we just pass condition straight and we open our scope. Then the initializing, we can do it above like this. I can say int I equal to, let's say 0, the way we did it in for loop. So I can do it at the top, or I can do it at the bottom, but I can't do it in my scope. I hope you understand. The only thing I can do in my scope is to check the condition. They have checked it here. Of course, that's not the scope, but I can print the value I want to print in the scope, and then I can also increase, right? That's what I can do in the scope. So now let's just drop right into an example so you understand what I'm talking about here. So let me comment out this. So now, how do we really use while loop? I'll say while. Before I even say the while loop, let me set the, because you have to have a number at which you'll be starting from, just like for loop. So int I is equal to, let me start from 0. Like I said, I like to start from 0. Then also in while loop, you have to have something you want to loop over. You have to have something you want to loop over. But in this case now, of course, in later examples, probably projects will be doing in the future, in later videos, we'll loop over an actual thing. One of the assignments we'll be doing in later class is that we'll be creating something like an exam quiz application, right? So since we'll be creating something like that, once you answer a question, I want another question to come out. Once you answer the question, I want something else to come out. So those things are like, something I'm trying to loop over. I hope you guys understand. So now, so I've initialized here I equals to 0. Then I want to loop over, let's say I want to loop over a string. So I want to loop over a string. So I can say string, I set the data type as name equal to, let me say the name is hello, word. Let me add a comma. It's not necessary to do. I just like to add a comma. So now this is what I want to loop over. Then I'll come here and say, because you have to loop over something, while your I in this case is the amount of times you want to loop over it or something, the index of, you get now. So I can say while, I'll set the condition. So in this case now, I want my condition to be I, which is the 0 that I set, to be less than the name, which is what I want to loop over. But then I can't loop over a string. Of course, I can loop over a string. In fact, definitely I can loop over a string. But what I mean is that I can't loop over, I can't check a condition of a string. Like I can't say I is less than name. I is 0. 0 cannot be less than a name, which is a string, hello word. But then I can say 0 is less than the number of alphabet in this name. And if you remember, how do we access some things like enum? There's something we call enum. Enum is how we can access every other things that has been embedded into this data type. For example, and the way we do it is by using the dot sign, right? You can see these are enums. So now I want to use the length. So what does that mean? I is less than name dot length. So if I count hello 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13, so I is less than 13. You can see that makes sense now. That's like two numbers that I'm trying to compare. So I want the condition to only be true, right, when I is less than 13. I can't say I is less than hello word. That doesn't make sense in English itself. I hope you guys understand me, because I is not an alphabet. I is 0, which has initialized here. Hope that's clear. So yes, I have to say I is less than name dot length. Then I open my condition, so I can say print for me. So now what do we want to print? Print name for me. But then I don't just want to print name, because of course I can choose to print only name. Do you understand now? In fact, let's print it now. But then now it works. We don't just print. When we initialize, we check condition, we also have to increment. You remember for loop. So we increment by saying I equal to I plus 1. Of course, you can determine how many times you want to increment by 2. Right? There's another thing I forgot to also talk about in the last class. If you also want to, there's a different way we can increment by 1. If I have I equals to I plus 1, that's how to increment by 1. But the shortcut to do that is just saying I plus plus. What you have done here is also incrementing by 1. I hope that's clear. So when I run this code now, you see this condition will be run. I hope you understand now. You can see hello world. If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why? Because there are 13 things here. 13, I mean I counted the space, even the space at the middle is something to count. The comma here is something to count. You don't just count hello and word alone. All those things at the middle too, there are things to count. So there's another thing here I want to show you guys. There's another thing we can also do with while loop. What if I want to print individual characters and not the whole thing like this? I want to print H, then I want to go down print E, then I want to go down print L, then I want to go down print. How do I do that? So you can see I'm not just printing name. Here I printed name, and name is all those things. So when I print name, this thing increase, then it goes back to the loop. Check the condition again. If it is true, print name, increase. Check the for example, now what do I mean by that? I is less than name.length, which is I is less than 13, because this whole thing is 13, and I is 0, so 0 is less than 13. Is that not true? Of course that's true. To print name hello world, then to increase that I, which is 0, by 1, I will become 1. Then to come back again, when I is less than 1, less than 13, that's still true. It will print this, increase it again, it will become 2, till it becomes something that is not true. Because when it becomes something like 13, because when you get to 5, 6, 7, to be increasing, because it is increasing by 1. So when it gets to a level like 13, you should check 13 is less than 13. Of course that's false. Then this thing will not be printed again. And that's why I printed 12 here. I don't know if you guys are understanding me. So but in this case now, I don't want to print the whole thing. I just want to print individual alphabet. Now let me quickly talk about something I've not talked about before. Individual elements in this string, they have their own position. In fact, let me go out of this while loop. Let me just say, let's watch this. Let's say string, let me name this as value equal to hello. Let me comment out all of this. Of course I will comment them now. Then I want to print value. What gets printed? Let's see what gets printed. Of course everybody knows hello gets printed. What if I only want to print each? So individual alphabet in this thing here, they have their own position. For example now, and when we start counting from when we count in programming, we count starting from 0. So this H here has a position of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you understand. So if I want to print H alone, I'll just say print me value at the position of 0. Can you see what I'm doing now? So if I run this code now, H only will be printed. Can you see it now? If I say print 1, I only will be printed. Can you see it now? What if I say E? What if I say print 1 and this? What will be printed? Then I just say 1 and that. That doesn't make sense, right? What if I do 1 and 3 like this? What does this mean? Doesn't make sense too. Still. So basically what this means is that just print for me the element that I need. I hope you understand. So when I run this code, it prints that exact element for me. So now let's go back to what I'm trying to achieve here with while loop. So let's remove this condition. Yes. So now that means if I have name now, which is hello world, and then I want to print individual element, I'll just say print name at the index of, now I want to print in the index of I. Now as you can see now, I is starting from 0. So when this thing run, it will print name of index of 0, which is H, but this thing will increase. I will become 1. Then to print the next alphabet, then I will increase again to become 2. It will print the next alphabet. Then I will increase to, you can see what we get. It will print individual element like this. I hope you understand. So you can just make more research about while loop to see more things that we can actually do with this while loop. I will see you guys in the next class. Thanks guys.